Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. For those who don't know me, my name is Jake and I'm currently serving on active duty military. In my previous video, I went over the fine details how to collect the housing allowance for the post 9/11 GI Bill. And while researching that video, I kind of came across a problem. So what could possibly be wrong with the GI Bill? This is one of the greatest financial benefits given to all of our veterans. Well, let's do a quick recap, and there are two versions of the GI Bill. There's the Montgomery GI Bill and the post 9/11 GI Bill. For the Montgomery, in my opinion, it's not as good because when you're enrolled as a full-time student, you're going to get a fixed benefit of up to 36 months. And for full-time status, this year it's $2,122, so you're responsible for paying your tuition, and then anything left over is basically like your housing allowance. $2,100 a month just isn't good enough to cover tuition plus housing, so for that reason, the post 9/11 GI Bill is pretty good because it will cover 100% of your tuition costs at any four-year traditional state school. If you want to go to an Ivy League private school, the VA will partner with that school to help you cover tuition costs. On top of that, you will collect the E5 dependent rate for BAH of the zip code of the school. And this is what gets veterans pretty exciting, getting 36 months of BAH at the E5 dependent rate while they're back in school or a full-time student. Now, the national average for E5 dependent is $1,800 a month. The BAH for online is only half of that, so $917. The good news is that if you're in a hybrid program, as long as one class is on campus, in a brick and mortar building, then the other classes can be online. That's okay. Only one class has to be in person in order to guarantee that you get the in-person BAH rate. The book stipend is $1,000 a year or $500 a semester, and any extra money that you don't spend for your housing or the books, you can pocket this extra money. So you might be thinking, Jake, that's fascinating, so what's the problem? And the problem with the GI Bill is opportunity cost for your time to go back to school as a full-time student. In order to collect that housing allowance, you have to be greater than half-time to get any of it in the post 9/11 bill, and you have to be full-time in order to get the entire BAH amount. And full-time for most traditional schools is 12 credits a semester. So every choice you make in life, there's an opportunity cost to not choosing another path. And let's say you enlist at 18, you get out at age 22, 23, and you have a choice. You can either go immediately into the workforce, find a job, or you can go to school and use the GI Bill and be a full-time student. If you just left the service and you're a vet and you're looking to find a job, there are lots of great websites and resources to help veterans find jobs. Employers are looking for you. The only downside, of course, is you might have to relocate. You can't necessarily just move back to your hometown and find a job. You might have to move to a certain part of the country or a bigger city in order to find one of these great jobs. But the other option to not go into the workforce and instead go back to school as a student full-time, this is going to take 4 years. This is 4 years that you potentially could have been working a job. Now let's figure out exactly what you're making as a full-time student while on the GI Bill. So let's assume that you enroll in 12 credit hours. Of course, you can always take more if you want to graduate sooner. You can take 15 or 18 or whatever. But let's just go ahead and assume you're going to be a traditional student and your goal is not to overexert yourself. So you're going to do 12 credits per fall semester and 12 credits per spring semester. Now, the traditional ratio of time in class, 12 hours in class, versus time spent writing papers and studying and preparing for class, that should be another 24. This is the equivalent of 36 hours worth of work being a student per week. And for an example, let's just take my home state university, the University of Wisconsin-Madison. Tuition is almost $13,000 a year, 100% covered. The book stipend, $1,000 per year, $500 a semester. Let's just ignore that. And then the E5 dependent BAH rate for Madison is $1,656. You get to use this for 36 months. It's a total benefit of $115,000. Now, if you're a full-time student putting in 36 hours a week worth of work, then over a month, you put in 36 hours times 4 weeks. What are you making per hour if you're viewing this BAH kind of as a salary or an allowance? Well, if you're working 36 hours a week, you're getting 1,656. It's like you're only making $11.50 an hour. And let's say while being a full-time student, you get a part-time job, so you're going to work 14 hours a week. That'll get you up to 50 hours a week, part-time plus students. And you find a good part-time job on campus that pays $15 an hour. That's about an extra $840 a month to supplement your BAH. 1,656 plus 840 is about $2,500 a month. 2,500 times 12 is like having a salary while being a student of $30,000 a year. Now, of course, during the summer months, you're not going to be in class. You won't get BAH, but let's assume that you pick up extra hours at your part-time work in order to compensate so you can still buy food and pay your rent. So these are your two diverging paths. When you get out of the service at age 23, you can either be a full-time student or you can go into the workforce. Well, as a student, you're getting by while in class, making about $30K a year from part-time work plus your BAH. So it's a total benefit or salary over those 4 years of $120,000. But if you had just gone into the workforce and started working, you should shoot for, I would estimate about $50,000 a year. Now it all depends on what part of the country you're living, what's the job you're doing. But if you're making $50K a year as a vet, over a 4-year period, your salary would be close to $200,000. Now for this example, we're not going to assume that you promote all at your job, that you get an annual salary increase. Let's just freeze the pay and benefits at a fixed amount. We're also ignoring that you might have health insurance costs covered, that you might be getting a 401k matching. There are lots of other benefits to full-time employment other than just your salary. So let's go back to the student and think about this. If you had just worked for 4 years and instead you became a student, you made $80,000 less over those 4 years. That is the opportunity cost. You gave up 4 years of potentially being able to work a full-time job with benefits, which cost you $80,000. Now, of course, if you use your education benefits to get a professional job, a doctor, nurse, lawyer, engineer, teacher, or pilot, my dad's a veteran, he used the GI Bill to become an architect. There are lots of careers and professions that require degrees that you might want, and you will earn a higher salary when you get out if you get one of those degrees. However, what if you don't get one of those degrees? What if you use your GI Bill benefits and you go to school and you major in communications or English or psychology or business administration? You then graduate after 4 years and you can't find a job that required that college degree. What if you get out at age 27 and you end up just taking that job that you would have taken had you just gotten out of the military? Well, that's financially a very bad move for you in the long run. Now, of course, you don't want that to happen. You went to school, you earned a college degree. Ideally, when you get out, you're getting a job that required that degree that will earn you more money, even $10,000 more a year. After 8 or 9 years, you would have overcome that opportunity cost to taking 4 years to go to school. And of course, if you went back to school to become an engineer or a nurse, then you can overcome that opportunity cost even faster, the higher the starting salary you get once you get out of college. So why am I talking about this? Why am I making this video? The reason why is because I already have a bachelor's, I already have a master's, and I don't want a doctorate. However, I served in the military, I earned the GI Bill. How am I going to use the GI Bill? It just doesn't make sense for me to go back to school full-time to take 12 credits just to get that BAH. I want that BAH. That's basically a free mortgage payment on a house every month. But if I were to get out of the service, how am I going to use my GI Bill benefits? Because by not working full-time, by just taking whatever classes I can to collect that BAH, I don't need or want any more education, and I want to use my GI Bill because I feel like there's a value there, but by not working full time at a professional job, it would be costing me money to use my GI Bill. Of course, the true secret to veterans here is to transfer your GI Bill benefits for the post 9/11. As long as you served 6 years, you can transfer your GI Bill benefits to a spouse or child. This will incur an additional 4-year service commitment, and this individual has to be enrolled in DEERS prior to you separating from the military. But, this is the best of both worlds, where you don't have to use it, but somebody in your immediate family is going to benefit greatly from it. But I don't have a wife, and I don't have kids, and I really don't know what I'm going to do with my GI Bill, because, I can always just take classes like one at a time, or take classes online, maybe get the half national average rate. I honestly don't know what I'm going to do with it. Okay guys, if you enjoyed this video, give me a thumbs up so the algorithm knows it's good. In addition, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already. I talk a lot about finance and investing topics. And if you have any questions or comments, or you have good advice for me on what I should do with my GI Bill to maximize the monetary benefit, then let me know that. Till the next video, take care.